Welcome to Simone Quilts Design Session number 2. I'm excited to show you this quilt submitted by Nancy from I'm So Fancy Nancy. Nancy submitted this Wildwood quilt she pattern tested for Caroline of Geometry Quilt. Today, we will be discussing some steps you can take to help you figure out how to create designs on a quilt top. Nancy is a new quilter and asked that I cover some designs that are beginner friendly but don't look like they're done by a beginner. I love that approach, and so I'll be focusing on designs that can be accomplished with a walking foot or a straight line ruler. The first step is to decide what color will be your background. This is where a lot of your quilting designs will be placed to allow the other parts of the quilt to shine on their own. This doesn't mean you can't place designs on these other parts, but you want to consider where you want the focus of your designs to be. This also shouldn't stop you from combining the background in a design with other parts of the quilt for a secondary design effect. It's just meant to help you divide the space into a form you can play with. And for this quilt, I want the white to be the background. The second step is to find shapes you recognize and you can work with. For this quilt, I see trapezoids here. I see triangles here and here. And I see some larger squares and rectangles here and here. I also see repeating sets of 3. So you have 3 small triangles, 3 large triangles, and 3 trapezoids. These are all shapes that are walking foot friendly too. The third step is to see if you can divide the quilt into parts that you can tackle individually. I can clearly see that this quilt comes together in 2 distinct strips. This one with the larger pieces, and this one with the smaller pieces. This is not something I want to highlight when I'm quilting this, so I'm going to choose to have my designs go across these strips to provide more unity to the pattern. Instead, I'm going to focus on finishing my design process and then dividing it up once it's done. The fourth step is to play with the shapes and find a design that you feel complements the top and is within your ability to make. Once you've decided on the design you want, keep practicing on paper until you know where to go instinctively when you're at your machine. I'm going to show you how I play with shapes to create an overall design. I really like this particular design because it flows so well together. It actually reminds me of arrows. So I think I'm going to continue with this particular train of thought here, but I want to continue playing around with shapes and see what else I can come up with. Right there, I'm playing with a really typical dot-to-dot design. I say typical, but more like very useful design. You just can put it in any triangle shape or trapezoid shape, or as you can see, I put it in a square shape. It looks really lovely and it creates a lot of dimension. Here, I am doing what's called an echo effect, and not echoing like we're used to, which is just outlining a shape over and over again, but I guess I would call it more of a ghosting shape. I'm putting a ghost type shape of a triangle here in these purple sections, so there's a continuity of these small triangle shapes used throughout. As you can see here, I really enjoy playing with using the shapes to continue from the background area into the purple area. It does a really cool effect of playing with the eyes and allowing your eyes to move across the quilt in the direction that you're intending. So from what I see on this quilt design, we actually do have quite a bit of movement like this. And we can play around with that idea by maybe making arrows go down this way and doing some cool effects with some linear lines going this way. And then arrows again going up this way, linear lines going this way, point our eyes this way, and same going down. So there are lots of actually opportunities for secondary designs here and what your intended effect is. If you didn't want to do secondary designs, you could just go ahead and stick with quilting in the background area, and then just making sure you maybe do an echo within the purple area so that it stays in place and pops out a little bit. You want to make sure that the areas of the quilt are quilted so that it doesn't come apart in the wash. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and stop this design session since it's getting pretty long and this is a good breaking point. In the next Simone Quilts Design Session, I will cover filler designs and motifs that can be used in the specific shapes we discussed in this video today. I encourage you to use the steps I outlined today on your own quilt tops and see how many shapes you can work with. I would love to hear any of your successes, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Make sure to leave a comment below or send me a message.